What on earth is going on? One minute I was just doing my job protecting the President of the United States from any potential attacks. Next thing I knew, thousands of people were dead, the world was thrown into chaos, and the so-called SCP Foundation had declared war on the human race? Okay. Let's get back to day one before things get too confusing. Day one. I'm a member of the President's Secret Service, so it's my job to keep POTUS safe from all manners of potential dangers. My son, Thomas, was in the care of my ex-wife across the state when everything went south. It started on the White House lawn, where the President was giving a speech about his plans to shrink the deficit. That's when he appeared. A stranger slipped into the press junket. He was dressed like a British butler. It was almost comical. Myself and the other agents immediately flagged him as a potential threat and moved in to intercept him. That's when things went nuts. This butler was one of the greatest fighters I've ever seen. He effortlessly disarmed the intercepting agents, and while we desperately tried to wrestle the President off the stage, the butler stole one of my fellow agents' pistols and blew off the President's head with one perfectly aimed shot. Of course, we returned fire, mowing the butler down in a hail of bullets, but it was already too late. People were screaming and running. I could see out in the city beyond there were explosions, smoke rising, a cacophony of screams. In an instant, everything had changed. We hunkered down in the White House to protect the Vice President. That's when, upon turning on the news, we saw the message. It'd been sent to every company, every station, and it read, "The following is a message composed via consensus of the O5 Council. For those who are not currently aware of our existence, we represent the organization known as the SCP Foundation. Our previous mission centered around the containment and study of anomalous objects, entities, and other assorted phenomena. This mission was the focus of our organization for more than 100 years. Due to circumstances outside of our control, this directive has now changed. Our new mission will be the extermination of the human race. There will be no further communication." Day 2. Of course, I tried to get through to my ex-wife and check that she and Thomas were okay, but by that time, communication had already broken down. Strangely, the internet and major TV news channels remained in operation, allowing them to spew a constant barrage of the horrors going on outside. All over the world, hideous monsters and malicious creatures had flooded the streets, killing human beings en masse. I don't understand. Is the SCP Foundation behind all of this? I hadn't even heard of them until yesterday, and now they were apparently releasing living nightmares everywhere. Apparently with the intent of wiping out the human race. All I could do was stay in place, hope my family was staying safe, and do what I can to protect the Vice President. Day 3. The Vice President is dead. The same could be said for the rest of my team. Some terrifying zombie-like man somehow breached our security perimeter and melted down the President and 6 Secret Service agents into this thick black sludge. Obviously not an ideal situation. At that point, the chain of command collapsed entirely, and we decided to make a run for it. Bullets didn't seem to work on that rotting old freak, and I'm not the kind of idiot who sees the point in expending a few extra magazines on a lost cause. But by the time I was outside, it was already nightfall, and the horrors were just beginning. Day 4. It's hell on earth out here. I was wandering the streets of DC, trying my best to remain scarce despite the chaos unfolding all around me. There were these creatures. Abominations of human flesh twisted into unimaginably unnatural configurations roaming around, attacking any humans they saw. And anyone they touched started to transform into more of them. I decided to sleep in the back room of a ransacked post office that night. I didn't want to move in the dark with these things around. One touch and I'd be dead. No thank you. Day 5. Why the hell did they do this to us? These monsters at the SCP Foundation, flooding the world with abominations intent on ending human life. One of those monsters almost killed me today. I was trying to sneak down a back alley when I heard the chittering of bony legs following me. I turned and saw it reaching out towards me with fleshy tendrils. I raised my handgun and fired several times to no effect. I was preparing for death or worse when some huge metal vehicle I couldn't recognize pulled into the alley. Men spilled out of it. Well, they weren't just men, they were cyborgs in heavy, technologically advanced armor and weapons straight out of Star Wars. They burned the creature to death with a volley of concentrated heat beams. I thanked my rescuers profusely and asked them their names. They simply told me,
"We are devotees of the broken god. Stay safe out there, fellow traveler. McCain be with you."
Day 6. I wasn't just surviving for my own sake. You need to understand that. I wanted to get back to my ex-wife and son as quickly as possible, knowing all the horrors that the SCP Foundation had unleashed onto the world for no logical reason. As morbid as it sounds, even if we all died, I'd rather we die together than apart. But every day, I developed a new reason to know this journey wouldn't be easy. While trying to escape from one of DC's more densely packed urban areas, I encountered a horrific monster. It looked like a giant mutant crocodile the size of a bus, vicious as hell, and it could talk. When it clasped its eyes on me, it growled,
"Disgusting."
It started running towards me. But the actual physical structure of DC saved my ass this time. You see, the streets of DC are designed to give in and collapse if ever huge military vehicles roll over them, in order to prevent the capital from being invaded by a military force. The reptile clearly didn't know this, because it seemed awful confused when the ground gave out underneath it, and I was able to run to safety while it tried to scramble up the walls. Day 7, a week into this hellish new world, and against all odds, I'm still alive. Though it's not for lack of trying from the gaggle of killer freaks the monsters at the SCP Foundation have unleashed to terrorize the streets. Today, I saw something terrifying. A man was lured into a dark corner by the voice of a young child claiming to be his daughter. He approached the dark with tears in his eyes when a pack of monsters jumped out and began devouring him alive. Their long, sharp fangs and raw red hides are going to linger in my dreams forever. You can't trust voices anymore. You just can't trust them. Day 8. I'm almost at the edge of the city, but the nightmares continue. I was able to narrowly dodge a group of men walking in perfect step, like one of those flash mobs that used to always pop up. In the middle of them, there was a woman with what looked like some kind of strange skin condition. They didn't seem all that aggressive until they came upon a pair of women also trying to make their way out of the city. The men in the trance-like state charged at them, holding the woman in place and seeming to strangle them, while the woman with the skin condition just laughed. I would have charged in there to help, but there were maybe 20 of the hypnotized men in the group, and with one magazine of handgun ammo left, even with perfect aim, I couldn't drop them all. But the guilt of leaving those women to die will stay with me forever. Over the next 9 days, I encountered zombies. I kid you not, genuine, honest-to-God zombies, the walking goddamn dead, infesting a road on the edge of town. There was a huge crowd of them, gurgling and growling, skin looking green and rotten. I've seen so many zombie movies, but seeing the genuine article in person was still utterly revolting. When they spotted me and started running towards me, I instinctively pulled out my weapon and fired several times. I scored a couple of respectable headshots, but they just kept coming. The only thing I could do was run into a nearby gas station and lock the door behind me. For a second there, I thought I was doomed, until I suddenly developed the wherewithal to check behind the cash register, where, to my immense luck, the clerk had apparently left a pump-action shotgun with several shells. With the extra firepower, I snuck out of the back of the gas station, approached the zombie horde from behind, and executed them with a series of well-chosen shots. I managed to steal and refuel a car to get out of town. On the way out, just to add to the surreality of the whole situation, I saw a witch in a ditch. Sounds like I just made it up for the rhyme, but no. There was a genuine witch hiding in the grass, chewing on a dead body. That was the moment that I knew, on some level, that things would never be normal again. The best I could hope for was survival. The 21 days after that were incredibly eventful, to say the least. Thank God I had forged a shotgun with me, or I would have been a goner. Because almost as soon as I left town, that huge monstrous lizard appeared again, carrying a dead deer in its mouth. Had it followed me, or was it just a coincidence that I ran into it again? Hell, maybe there was more than one of those horrible dinosaurs out there. But the second it noticed me driving by, it immediately began to chase me. I put the pedal to the metal and hoped beyond hope that this monster wouldn't catch up to me. But I kept seeing it get bigger and bigger in my rearview mirror. That creature was impossibly fast for its size. And believe me, when I saw it was getting close, I started sweating. With a sharp turn at a crucial moment, I was able to gain a vital lead and lose the beast. Soon enough, it was no longer in my peripherals, which was exactly how I liked it. Then I ran into a gaggle of horrific creatures that I can, hardly even explain. I was getting out of my stolen car to forage for food in a nearby supermarket, when suddenly I was swarmed by what I can only describe as a group of human chicken monsters. As stupid as they sound compared to the other things I've faced, they were fast and incredibly aggressive. I was lucky to dodge a few of their brutal charges and retaliate with a few blasts from the shotgun, which at least bought me time to escape. Even though I had to abandon my car, easy come, easy go seemed to be the rules of this terrible new world. Are they ever going to run out of horrible beasts to throw at me? Well, let's see. Over the 11 days that followed between periods of pure hiding, I actually had a first-hand confrontation with agents of the SCP Foundation. After all the things I've seen, if I could punch every single one of them so hard that they'd never wake up, I'd do it in a heartbeat. It was their fault that all this was happening, and we never even get to know why. Well, that's not entirely true. I was able to get myself some answers the hard way. I saw a helicopter circling above while I was hiding behind a small collection of buildings. They were shining a spotlight around, and anytime they saw a person walking out into the open, they ruthlessly gunned them down. When one person managed to duck away and run through a narrow alley, the helicopter landed and several men in tactical gear with assault rifles stepped out. When I recognized the SCP Foundation logo on the side of the chopper, I felt my blood rising to boil. These were the ones who killed all these people. As they began to disperse, I approached them from behind with murder in my eyes and used the shotgun to kill several of them. Before any of them had a chance to retaliate, I grabbed one of their fallen assault rifles and fired back, killing or injuring them all. The ones that were heavily injured were incapacitated, but oddly, they didn't seem to be in pain. I aimed the gun at one of their heads and told them to tell me why they were doing this. That SCP Foundation foot soldier just smiled and said, "You're never gonna know how much we've helped you. But that's okay. We're used to dying in the dark. You'll have to learn." So of course I shot him in the head. Hey, wouldn't you? I was better armed than ever. Soon enough I had a new sidearm and an assault rifle, along with a hell of a lot of ammo from the fallen SCP Foundation agents. I took a little joy in the irony that the SCP Foundation, the ones behind all of this, had provided me with the tools to defy their reign of terror. But none of that prepared me for that maniac to attack. After getting a few days' rest in a basement apartment I broke into, I emerged to continue the journey. I was maybe about 50 miles away from where my ex and son were living, if they managed to somehow stay put and survive all this time. But when I left the basement apartment, something was waiting for me. It was a man wearing a white comedy mask, dripping with this strange black gunk and carrying a fire axe.
"Well, hello there, good sir,"
he said with a laugh.
"How lovely to meet you! It's been a while since I've seen another one like you. You look like you're carrying a lot of weight on your shoulders, but don't worry, I can help with that."
He gave a diabolical laugh and swung the axe at my head. I was able to narrowly dodge the blow and return fire into center mass with my rifle. He seemed unfazed. He just laughed and started charging forwards with another swing from the axe. Rather than shooting him again, potentially attracting some unwanted attention, I decided to just run for it. Every day, there are new surprises out here. I made my way through a small town that had been utterly decimated. Homes and buildings were empty. A huge stack of human corpses sat in the center of town. On top of the pile, there stood a heavily tattooed man, carrying a huge black blade in each hand. He was clashing the blades together and calling out,
This world has no worthy opponents for the mighty Abel. Step forward and meet my blade, so at least you can die with honor, you sad, timid little sheep.
I didn't feel like dying with honor that day, so I instead chose to discreetly make my way across the town, hoping that the mighty Abel wouldn't notice me. And this paid off in the end, as I was able to find an abandoned motorcycle and hightail it out of there with all my scavenged weaponry. At long last, I was so damn close. Just before day 90, that monstrous reptile came back. I swear to God that monster is following me. It's more than just a coincidence now. I was no more than 20 miles from my ex's place, driving at great speeds on my new purloined motorcycle when that giant scaly monster emerged from the side of the road and knocked me off my bike. If I didn't think quickly and rely on my training, I would have been killed. I'd done 2 tours with the Marine Corps in Afghanistan before being selected to defend the president, a job that, technically, I'd failed miserably at. But those skills might be the only thing that could let me stand a chance against this monster. It reared up and tried to attack me again. I used my stolen assault rifle to concentrate fire on its eyes, trying to at least distract it. Its wounds healed quickly, and the pain of the blasts doesn't seem to have affected it in the slightest. But every time it lunges for me, I'm lucky enough to have the room to dodge it. This isn't sustainable. I know that it will have energy long after I tire. What I need is a distraction so I can get the hell out of there. Then, an idea hits me. I turn the gun on the motorcycle's fuel tank and fire off a few rounds. Boom! A nice, big, distracting fireball. It buys me a few seconds, but that's enough to let me get away down a narrow alley and make myself disappear. All I can say is, I really hope I don't see that monster again. Isn't 3 times enough for one life? But just when you think things can't get any stranger, you see something that almost breaks your brain with its sheer surrealness. While traveling through the town next to the one where my ex and son live, I saw a heart like a giant beating heart on spider legs with a scorpion tail destroying everything. It was tearing buildings apart and somehow setting people on fire with its caustic venom. What on earth was the SCP Foundation that it even knew about all these things? I just kept walking, avoiding attention. It's all I could do. It's all anyone can do. No one is saving a world like this, they're just avoiding getting killed in it. Or helping someone they love to avoid getting killed. Speaking of, only one day off now. Only one day off. Day 100. I arrived. After all this hell, after seeing all this nightmarish carnage that I'll never be able to unsee, I've reached the home of the ones I love. The ones I've been surviving for. I walk up to the front door, step inside, and find that the house is empty. Not a soul in sight. For a moment, I'm terrified. Had they been killed? There was no blood, no bodies, no sign of anything out of the ordinary. It means that, like myself, maybe they were on the move. Maybe they were fleeing to find safety of their own. And if that was the case, I had a pretty good feeling that I'd know exactly where they are. But my thoughts were interrupted by a loud rumbling noise coming from the house's basement. Now go and check out SCP-5000's, the full story compilation, and how SCP-682 tried to stop SCP-5000 for more from this horrifyingly apocalyptic scenario.